All right, today is Food Resupply Day. I wanted to bring you back in here to Kath's office where she's doing all of the resupply organizing, and give you let you take a look first here at her office right now, which is a giant explosion as we're getting chaos, right, Kath?
Ugh.
As we're getting all of our stuff sorted out for our meals. You can see a couple of the resupply buckets over there. We've got one resupply bucket right here, which happens to be the Kearsarge bucket, which we've got the food already put into. You can see how full that is. And how long of a resupply is that, Kath?
Kearsarge is for 6 days.
So that would be a 6-day resupply. And there's more than just food in there, but we're just going to be talking about food today. You can see the 2 bear canisters in the background there. We'll have both of those bear canisters full the day we depart from Horseshoe Meadows to begin our JMT hike by hiking out to the JMT Trail from there. And then Kath has laid out a sample. This is one of the days that we're going to be doing our resupply for, and the resupply, this particular resupply she has on the table is for which resupply, Kath?
This is MTR.
This is for the
Muir
Muir
Trail
Trail
Ranch.
Okay. So first of all, I'm going to let Kath just talk generally about resupply. And how many resupplies are we going to do, honey, this year?
We have 6 resupplies. We're starting at Cottonwood, and we're doing some hiking before that to get ourselves acclimated. So we're picking up a resupply at Cottonwood, Horseshoe Meadows, and that's for 10 days. And then we've got one coming in at Kearsarge, and then we've got one at LeConte, one at MTR, where we're actually staying. We're going to do a 0 at MTR. Then we're going to Reds, and then to Tuolumne. So this one right here is MTR. It's for 6 days. So basically what we do is we lay out 6 breakfasts for each of us. We do bars in the morning for breakfast. We have coffee. I put all the coffee. I like Splenda in my coffee, and I use a coconut powdered creamer. So all of that stuff is in this little Ziploc bag. So this is our coffee bag.
So what kind of coffee do you have in there,
This
honey?
is Mount Hagen coffee. We just found that we liked the flavor of that. And then Sam likes this creamer, so we take one of those for his creamer. So we've got bars for breakfast and our coffee and creamers.
And what kind of bars do we purchase, honey?
Well, Sam likes the Bobos for breakfast. I do a mixture. I've got Pop-Tarts. I do a couple of Bobos. I do the RX bars. I like the Go Macro bars. So anyway,
so
that's breakfast.
Breakfast, all right.
Okay, so here's lunch. For 2 days, we're going to eat sausage sticks and cheese. And then we've got tuna packets that we'll be having. I get the mustard, the mayo, actually the hot sauce for the dinners. So I have all of that available. And then we have bars for the rest of the lunches.
And what kind of bars are we having for lunch or something?
Pro bars and Cliff bars, basically.
Pro bars and Cliff bars, all right.
Okay, then for dinner, we have either Mountain House, Backpackers Pantry. I think there was 1 or 2 other brands that we had of a few meals too, but basically these. And what we do is we take the food out of this and we put it into a quart-sized freezer bag like this.
So show us a comparison between that bag and the Mountain House bag.
Here's the same meal. So this bag is great if you want to cook in the bag, but it's just bulky and it's got all these weird, edges and stuff, and it's hard to get in, number one, into the bear canister, but also just for the resupply. So if you do it this way, it's a lot easier to be able to fold them down, put them in the resupply bucket, also into your bear canister. You can cook directly in it if it's a freezer bag. which we do have, but we don't want to cook. I don't like it when it's done that way because I feel like it's never completely done. It's never completely hydrated. So we actually pour the food into our jet boil pot and rehydrate it that way. And I just feel better about that. It means we have to clean up. Well, hello there. It means we have to clean up the jet boil pot, but that's not a big deal.
So give us a sampling of what kind of meals for dinner you're having.
Okay,
Kat.
so we have chicken noodle casserole, we have fettuccine alfredo with chicken, spaghetti with meat sauce, Louisiana red beans and rice, Cincinnati chili, and our favorite 3-cheese macaroni and cheese. And Sam likes the hot sauce to go in a lot of those, so I buy the little hot sauce things that are in here, the little Tabasco bottles right there. So he likes that. Also, a little bit of olive oil helps. It just gives you that extra calories that you need and extra fat that you need. So we add a little bit of that to some of the meals.
And how about hydration, honey?
Hydration, we like this or the Propel. And so I mix them up. And there's 10 tablets in a tube.
12.
10.
10 tablets in a tube.
So that's 5 days for the two of us. So there we go. That's just gives us enough to make sure we have.
So what's all the rest of this food down here
Now,
in the bottom?
all this down here on the bottom is snack stuff. And so these monk cookies are really great. Got a lot of protein in them, a lot of fat, carbs, calories is what I'm looking for. A lot of calories. So those are great. I actually will bag up individually some trail mix, and it's just a mixture of nuts, raisins, some little M&M things. And I do those individually, and then we've got one for every day for the two of us. Jelly beans are great. So I'm taking the whole bag of jelly beans and then some extra little snack bags to be able to divide that up when we get to MTR. Fruity little snacks. These are like gummy bears. And then Snickers, little fun-sized Snickers. And then just some extra bars in case we need extra food. So that's basically what we do, and then everything gets piled into the bucket for resupply, and of course you seal the bucket shut with a lid, and that one's all ready. It's completely done, ready to roll.
Which one is that one?
That one's Kearsarge.
And we have 6 resupplies, you said.
Yes.
And they are for how many days? I think you may have already said that, but
well, this one's for 6. LeConte is our shortest, smallest. It's for 4. This one's 6. Reds is 5. Tuolumne's 4. Our biggest one is Cottonwood, which is 10.
And Cottonwood is the one we're starting on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that kind of gives you the lowdown on food and what we have to do to kind of get it organized. Again, I would highly recommend that you have a list like Kath has here that she's got made up. There's some other items that go in the bear canisters besides the food. Do you want to just mention some of those items that would be going in there?
You can see here there's toilet paper, there's sunscreen, there's lip, like Vaseline to go on your lips, vitamins, we put vitamins into each one, some extra Ziploc bags, just, you know, whatever it is that you need, that you think you need other than the food. Obviously the food is the most important.
Correct.
Maybe toilet paper second.
That's true. And if you take a look at this the resupply bucket, it's a good idea to go ahead and put something on your buckets, because all of these buckets look alike. When you get to a resupply in a place like Muir Trail Ranch, they've got like basically a shelter with about 300 buckets in it. And if you mark it, it makes it a little bit easier to find your bucket when they go back in there to look for it, if you need to help them find your buckets. So we use the same idea with our bear canisters as we did with the resupply buckets, in that we try to make them distinctive by putting reflective tape on the outside. You can see the strips of reflective tape on the bear canisters. And there's two good reasons to do this. First of all is it makes your bear canisters distinct from all other bear canisters in a particular campground if you have multiple people sharing a campground. And the second thing is that when you're out at night, going to the restroom or just walking around at night with your headlamp on, it makes these things very easy to spot. Not just for you, but also for the people that may be camping with you in that particular campsite if they're out going to the restroom.
Okay, so we are here to watch the chef prepare the meal. But before we start that, I just want to point out that we are in Denton, Texas, and today is our heat day of, let's look at this. It is 105 on our thermometer in the shade. So this is just a lovely day to be cooking and pretending that we're camping out. Okay, so here's the man. He's going to explain.
All right, last year, this is our jet boiled container that we cooked all of our food in. This is what we would put on top of the burner for the stove. So this one we're not taking this year. This is going to stay home. We're going to bring this container this year, and as you can see, it's a little bit wider pan. Kath likes this because, why do you like this particular
Well, I
pan?
like it two reasons. It's got a handle on it, which is really great, but it's wider, and so therefore the water gets into the food and rehydrates it much better.
Okay, so I'm going to pull the lid off of this so you can see what goes on the inside of this. We've got this little adapter that has to be put on top of the fuel canister when you put the burner on there to be able to put this wider pot on the base of the pot on the stove. This one we didn't need to have this adapter because it was small enough to fit on the top of the stove. Inside of the pot here you can see the actual burner itself. It's got a little on-off switch for the fuel. And this part right here, this adapter plug right here, actually plugs into the top of the fuel canister. One of the things that I had to learn how to do as a woodsman last year is to remember when I put this on the top to make sure I pull the little handle out to be able to turn the gas on and off. So it's all a learning curve. So you put the burner on the top of the fuel canister. It's got a nice little striker button that you can see right there, which will normally start the stove unless you're above 10 or 11 or 12,000 feet. That's why you need to take along a lighter so that you can get it started if you need to. And then on top of the burner, you've got this little adapter that's got the little fold-out legs. You saw Kath had that wrapped in a little towel to protect it from banging up against the inside of the pot. You fold out these little legs on here like this, and this actually sits on top of the burner just like that. And it won't go anywhere. And then the pot itself has got, on the bottom of it, you have to pull the bottom off of this to cook. It's got a little protector for the fire ring there. And
You can also use that as a bowl or a plate.
Or a plate, correct. So this will go on top of the burner like this. And then you're going to put the water. We have a glass of water here that will go into the pot. Boil the water. Once the water is boiled, it takes a minute or two to boil the water. Going to take our freeze-dried meal, which happens to be beef stroganoff tonight. It's going to be 1.75 cups of water, which I've already pre-measured there in the kitchen. And it says to cook it for 4 minutes, stir it, let it simmer in there for 4 minutes, stir it, and then cover it back up and leave it in there for an additional 8 minutes. And that's probably all we're going to need to do since we're essentially at sea level. So we're
Right, and let me just correct, he said let it simmer. You actually turn the heat off once the water
That's
is
correct.
boiling, so it's not simmering, it's steaming, it's rehydrating, it's soaking up
rehydrating,
the
correct.
boiling water.
Right, once the water is boiled and you put the food in it, the burner is
You
turned
turn
off.
off the heat, yep.
Okay, so I'm going to start the fire.
It was a pretty low can. There we go. Water in it first.
1 3/4 cups of water. Put the pot in there. And send it up as much as we can on there. And then we just let it boil. And it helps sometimes if you think about it to go ahead and put the lid of the pot on the top to help the water boil a little bit more quickly. And definitely once you put the food inside of there, once the burner's been turned off, the water's been boiling, you turn off the fire, you put the dehydrated meal in there, make sure that you put the lid back on your pot while it's cooking. A lot of people bring out a cozy. You can make your own. You can buy something to wrap up the pot in when you're at colder altitudes, so that you trap as much of the heat as you can on the inside of that pot. Okay, we're going to stop the video right here. I'm going to come back in about a minute, and when the water's boiled, and I want to put the food in, and then we're going to go back and take another break. All right, as you can see, the water has already started boiling. So once it's boiling like that, you can turn this off. Turn your fire off. Turn your stove off.
The thing is in there.
And you got the little
The oxygen absorber was
Oxygen,
still in the bag, so we want to pull
get rid
that
of
out.
I advise packing most of your meals without that in there. You're going to dump in your meal. You're going to make sure that you get it pushed down in there. Kath can show you the inside of the pot here where it's all stirred
Stir
up
it good.
and hydrated.
You want to make sure that all
To get
the
it started.
powdered stuff,
Gets mixed in
Yeah.
equally. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Gonna put the lid back on this baby, and we're gonna come back in about 8 minutes. I think is what it said.
Yep, 4 minutes
Four
and stir.
minutes. We're gonna stir it. 4 minutes. We're gonna stir, and then we'll come back at the end of 8 minutes, and it should be done. So hi everyone, this is the conclusion of our food video, because at the end of the day, when we got finished making our beef stroganoff last night out on our patio, I brought the finished product in, I thought, to put into my YouTube video, and I found out that that video had become corrupted. I've told you I have 2 of these Verb cameras. The issue was with the other camera. And so I've already contacted Garmin today because I've had a couple of other issues here the last couple of videos I've done. And they're going to take it back in. It's still under warranty. I bought it last year, so they're going to take it in and refurbish it and send it back to me. But I brought Kath along this morning because I wanted her to vouch for the fact that after our meal was in fact set out there for the 12 minutes, wasn't it, honey? That it turned out just fine. As a matter of fact, Kath actually ate the stroganoff last night for her dinner.
I did, and it was very good.
And it was very good.
Tasty.
So we just wanted you to know we're not going to go back out and cook another meal for you, because
Especially in 105-degree weather.
That's right. And especially once you know the secret to wilderness cooking, which is if you know how to boil water, you can cook in the wilderness.
There you go.
So this is Sam and Kath out.
Happy hiking.